Like I told you, a lot of the stuff we don't need because we have all this evidence already. Now's your time.
You really need to think about what you're going to do. Because now is the time to try to be honest and try to make things right. Okay? If you shot in self-defense or something, you need to let us know.
I did.
What happened?
Somebody had a tomato pulled out.
Who?
One of the kids.
Somebody you go to school with?
Yeah.
Same grade?
Yeah.
What's he go by?
I think he goes to the alternative.
Alright, what's his street name?
I know his last name, Gillespie.
There's also the video number 1, 2, 3, 4. And in that video, Mr. Demons uses a term that I don't want, that I think will be inflammatory, and on 403 grounds we would object. It refers.
Play it again.
Sure. Hello, so everybody. This is real friends. My name is Melvin, and I'm gonna turn myself in. But I'm in a suitcase because they arrested me, and I had to get on a private jet, and I don't want them to see me.
New paperwork released this week now confirms why YNW Melly was so concerned for his mother throughout the trial and even concerned for her throughout this week. Before the YNW Melly trial even started, lead detective Mark Moretti had an incident with YNW Melly's mother, where the statement goes and reads, "We received a complaint by an attorney representing Jamie King. King is the mother of Jamel Demons, the given name of YNW Melly. YNW Melly's lawyers filed a motion in his case seeking Brady material against the detective. Brady material refers to information that could be used to question the integrity of law enforcement officers who testify in criminal cases." As it continues reading, details about the encounter between Melly's mother and Moretti were not available Thursday with one exception. While the incident took place on October 12th, 2022, the complaint was not filed until this month, as allegedly YNW Melly's mother was called in for an interrogation by Mark Moretti, as Moretti then wanted Melly's mother's cell phone for evidence in lockup the exact same way he did it to Melly's manager 100K Track for possession of Melly's cell phone. However, at the time, Jamie King was not giving it up. This then caused Moretti to try grabbing it out of her hand and forcing it, then causing an injury to her hand. Let me take you back 7 months ago, January the 2nd, as YNW Melly's mother and YNWB Slime were on a No Jumper podcast, as Jamie King can be seen with a cast around her hand, mentioning a police officer was responsible for it. Not wanting to get into full detail while on the interview, she just revealed that it was a officer in Broward County. Now, this isn't the first we're hearing about shady police tactics by Mark Moretti either, as we even saw it firsthand in the YNW Melly trial.
Did you, as a trained investigator, Jameson Francois to be deported to Haiti, even though he's been in this country since 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Did you, in fact, that he would not get fed and get any medicine in the jails?
I don't know about that in conversations.
Do you think a witness who tells you something that you don't like really gets to the truth?
Objection, Your Honor, relevant.
Sustain.
When you questioned Jameson Francois, were you alone, or did you bring immigration officers with you?
We were at the Chrome Detention Center, so of course the immigration officer had to be there.
That was YNW Melly's lawyer yelling at Mark Moretti due to what he did to Melly's music manager. 100K Track was forced to give up YNW Melly's cell phone to that man Mark Moretti. He had no choice to, or else he would have been kicked out of the United States. And that cell phone contains 90% of the evidence that the prosecution used against YNW Melly throughout his trial. So it is a big deal, as on Melly's cell phone, it contained incriminating text messages between Melly and his girlfriend if you read through the lines.
Moving on to Friday, November 9th, 2029, 20 UTC, 2018. message from Melly Montana to, again, that baby. What does that one say?
You don't with me anyways. I peeped it. You can slide, but God knows I wasn't in her and real breaking. You spoiled everything was given to you. You act like a some slide. I keep Bortlen with cuz at the
Not to mention the very hard-hitting evidence found on YNW Melly's cell phone of Melly admitting to doing the crime.
The PC Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, I did that, and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
And could you please stand and point on the right side of the screen exactly which part you're saying where the YNW Melly account says, I did that?
I did that. This is the thread ID. This is the text. This is the author. And this is the recipient. Then you come down here, same thing. The ID is for the actual message, which is just specific that one message. Then the thread ID is the actual continued message.
However, here's where it gets interesting. Mark Moretti and the families of Sakchaser and Juvy know that if you want to get the worst out of YNW Melly, then mess with his mother, Jamie King, which is exactly what they've been doing since the trial started to even now. We learned YNW Juvy's sister reached out to YNW Melly's mother on social media.
What's been going on in the courtroom?
Well, Anjanette, it's been a very interesting morning. It did start off earlier with the defense bringing up an issue. Apparently, Juvy's sister posted on, I guess, one of the social media outlets, and she said that she was going to Jamie King. And so that caused a big, issue in the courtroom. It wasn't anything that we got on tape, but it did happen this morning. It was on the record, and she has a bodyguard now. So that was one of the first issues that the court dealt with this morning. And it was interesting because the judge did basically say, if you needed more security, I can get it for you. Ultimately, it was determined that the security she had, the bodyguard, was going to be enough. So
now, shout out to Reddit, because we had to do some digging to find the sister. Now, this is the sister, Ashley Monique. And let me show you the post that she had posted on Facebook, because, honey, it was quite the stir. So she posted this screenshot from Jamie King, YNW Melly's mother, and she said, pest control, who called about. Now, that was in regards to a post made by Trayvon Glass on his Instagram page, where he basically said that he's not worried about anything, and if he's come him. So in a nutshell, Melly's mom is calling Trayvon Glass a, and Monique replied back and says, a is when you do something wrong and not take responsibility and then go and set somebody up because you're scared to lay down. She goes on to say that's not the case here. Fetty was Juvy's friend, not Melly. He was only around because Juvy brought him. Now in the comments, somebody says she better find something safe to do. Another person replied back and says, very well said. Another person tagged Jamie, and somebody else said, come get. Now, Ashley was in the comments and says, she even has a bodyguard, child. Another person replied and says, yeah, she need one because she's talking like she's 200 pounds and she ain't even pushing 100. Now, somebody else posted this and says, she's going to need them because she in the wrong city talking. Now, I think that when Melly's defense attorneys found this, they submitted it over to the judge and basically was like, Juvy's sister's out here Melly's mom. Now, the judge did state that if Melly's mom needed security, he would issue her security, and then he found out that she had a bodyguard, and that would be sufficient enough.
That social media interaction caused YNW Melly's mother to then have 24/7 security with her at all times. This really affected Melly, making him very concerned for his mother. YNW Melly was seen during his trial looking very emotional in court as he was so nervous for his mom.
Jury entry. I don't know.
as YNW Melly was finally looking relieved that he got his mom 24/7 security in the courtroom. The trial in general took a huge toll on Melly's mother, Jamie King. She spoke about it many times, revealing that she had so much stress since the trial began, she had to even take extra precaution. And this is even when we saw YNW Melly trying to comfort her inside of the courtroom during trial.
We'll just
With everything going against YNW Melly lately, it would just continue to get worse, as Melly's trial is now announced to be set for October 9th. This now leaves Bortlen's trial to start on October 2nd, all by himself, and it's for one reason. This now gives YNW Bortlen a chance to make a plea deal. The week's worth of trial before Melly's begins will be structured in a way to give Bortlen the chance to tell the truth. What happened to Sakchaser and Juvy? Now, the state is very smart for doing this, as they realized moments after the YNW Melly mistrial was granted, YNW Bortlen tweeted something for the first time in 2 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, the jury inquiry form, it indicates that after further discussions, reviewing the evidence and speaking freely amongst the jury, we are still unable to reach a unanimous decision. So at this time, what I'm going to do is just declare a mistrial, because it's mistrial, and again, I want to thank you very much for your time and attention. It's very much appreciated. You're free to go. All right, swear now. Thank you, ladies.
As the report goes on and shares, YNW Bortlen tweets a mysterious message on the same day the YNW Melly mistrial was declared. The tweet shares, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji. As during the entire YNW Melly trial, his lawyers were playing mind games with the jury, hinting towards Bortlen being the guilty one and not YNW Melly. And now we're seeing Bortlen subtweeting the mind games phrase with a handshake emoji as if he's accepting a deal. As even 15 minutes into day one of the YNW Melly trial, Melly's opening statements by his lawyers revealed that YNW Bortlen was the one with powder residue on his hands and much more.
Demon's lies, those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, a car riddled with bullets. And when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry. There were 3 phones.
That is YNW Melly's own lawyer revealing that it was Bortlen that was lying to the feds. It was Bortlen with the powder residue on his hands, and that he was the last one with Juvy and Sakchaser when they sadly passed. As this wouldn't even be the end of YNW Bortlen's evidence getting brought up in Melly's trial either. We would then see a forensic scientist that covered the passings go into further detail about Bortlen having that powder residue.
So the right hand of Cortland Henry contained 0 particles characteristic of heart residue and 2 component particles, and the left hand contained 1 particle characteristic of heart residue and 1 2-component particle.
Okay. And can you explain to us what that means?
Basically, overall, there was heart residue present on the hands.
With YNW Melly's team doing this throughout Melly's trial, it makes Melly look extremely innocent, leaving Bortlen looking extremely guilty, as YNW Bortlen now may not have any other option but to snitch on Melly. Why go to prison for a crime that you didn't even do? This is then when Bortlen was finally brought into the courtroom. He was then given his trial date.
Cortland Henry,
Yes, sir, he's present.
That you and Mr.
Status conference.
Come on up.
And I guess you're already trial the code of right now. We're set for October 3rd for trial.
You had a motion pending as well?
Yes, Judge. As the court, when we were here the last time, you let him go to church and stuff, you said about working, you would be subject to seeing his schedule. We filed a schedule for the next couple of months.
I saw that.
Be able to work. And I talked to his probation supervisor. She has no problem with him at all. She said that if he's going to go to work, she'd like anybody has to do, provide an itinerary, where he's going to be, how he's going to get there, how it's going to get done.
As ever since YNW Melly was arrested in 2018, it has been the YNW group's main priority to make Melly look innocent and leave kind of Bortlen to be the afterthought. As in a lawsuit against Melly, it goes and reads, Defendant 100K Track assisted Melly and Bortlen with the collection and the disposal of the firearm that was used to commit the crime, as this helps out YNW Melly in a huge way. We all know that YNW Bortlen was driving the car, so he couldn't have used a firearm anyway, but this helps out YNW Melly in a massive way. As 100K Track even stated in an interview, Melly has great defenses on his side.
He built a real great solid team away from just being innocent, because he wouldn't do such a crime. He prepared himself and got a proper, defense. Their job is to handle themselves in trial, not on social media. You guys are taking it that way. If they say they got DNA in a car, I'm just gonna tell you, Melly DNA was found in the car. You're gonna think, yeah, his DNA was found in the car the day of the. Oh, he jumped in a car and his DNA was in the car. He did it, okay? But you're not gonna put the fact that this was his car for 6-7 months on those documents and dockets and just automatically be like, yo, he's fried. You don't even know what the defense is. You don't even know what the rebuttal is. You don't even know why that situation occurred. You hear ballistics flying, you don't know what the defense is. You hear this, you hear that. You get what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be honest. As yes, YNW Melly has a lot of solid defenses for himself. However, his defenses then make YNW Bortlen look extremely guilty, which all begins with the no firearm being found. YNW Melly can be seen giving a smirky reaction when it's revealed in the courtroom.
Why not?
So the first thing is I didn't have a firearm, so I can't know which firearm I'm going to use in order to replicate any of my tests. So I can't make tests for this determination because I don't know what firearm was used.
Okay. Do you have a...
Including the testimony from YNW Melly's 6th grade best friend, Adrian Davis, who would reveal that YNW Melly wasn't even at the crime scene, leaving YNW Bortlen to be the only one with Sakchaser and Juvy on this night.
Are you 100% sure that Melly got into the red Mitsubishi to go home?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that this young man learned of his friends at the exact same time you learned of it?
Yes.
And that was at the house?
Yes.
Are you 100% sure that when people were getting on the phone, that this young man was looking for his phone to call people?
Yes.
Davis then would even double down his claims of YNW Melly not being there, stating that Melly was picked up by the YNW members that were driving in the red vehicle. They needed somebody with a set of house keys to allow them into the YNW crib. There was only 2 sets of house keys, one owned by YNW Melly, the other owned by YNW Bortlen. They both left the recording studio at the same time. However, they make it seem as if Bortlen never even planned on going home.
So the only 2 people you know who had a key to the house was this young man.
Yes.
And Cortland Henry.
Yes.
Did you see this young man unlock the door of the house?
Yes.
Who was the last person to get out of the red Mitsubishi to go inside the house?
Trayvon. He was in the cot still asleep.
Did you see where Melly went?
To his room.
And where was his bedroom?
When you first walked in the house, can't miss it. It's right down the left.
Okay. This is a 1 or 2 story house?
2.
If both cars were driving home on this night once leaving the recording studio at 5 in the morning, there would be no need to pick up YNW Melly in one other car, due to them all meeting up at the house together. However, it seems as if YNW Bortlen just didn't plan on going home at 5 in the morning, as Adrian Davis claims he even saw YNW Melly walk to the front door, open the door, and then walk straight to his bedroom to go to sleep. Then while sleeping for roughly an hour or two, members in the YNW crib would begin screaming, yelling for everyone to wake up as they were just learning what happened to Sakchaser and Juvy.
Did there come a time in the early morning hours that you were woken up and heard some distressing news?
Yes.
What did you hear?
That second Juvy.
When you heard that, did you see Melly in the house?
Yes.
Did you see Melly how he was dressed in the house?
Yes.
What was he wearing?
Shorts and a t-shirt, I think.
Adrian Davis states that he saw YNW Melly inside of the house. However, he said nothing about YNW Bortlen being there, as this now gives YNW Melly an alibi. And it also reveals Bortlen was the only one with Sakchaser and Juvy, as when you now take into account everything that's happened this week, and rumors circulating about the potential of Bortlen snitching, O-Block resident Jay Hood, best friend of King Von, would reveal something unexpected during an interview, as it seems as if Von may have mentioned a little too much to people at O-Block.
Did Vaughn really tell you that Melly told him that he was two friends?
He ain't come out and say, like, we got into an argument. And so, you know, if you know, when people could say something without saying it. And so he told me, like, once I posted what I posted, Vaughn was mad at me. Bro, why you put up there, bro? Walter Bam. I'm like, you sitting up here, like, you know the love we got. You do this for us. But you gonna trust that his two friends? And he said, them was trying to extort him. And so I'm like, if they was trying to extort him, then why are you still around them?